Digestive system. Our digestive system is a combination of mechanical and chemical actions. Imagine putting your food in a petri dish, chopping it up and exposing it to a bunch of chemicals and microbes. Can you imagine what it would look like in the end? This is what the digestive system does. Mouth. The journey down the alimentary canal begins in the mouth. Here, the food is broken down into smaller chewable pieces. Chewing breaks the food into pieces while the saliva mixes with food to begin the process of breaking it down into a form your body can absorb and use. Rolling action of the tongue and secretion of saliva rolls food into a bolus. The saliva contains water, electrolytes, antibacterial components and enzymes, such as the amylase. Amylase converts carbohydrates into sugars. Throat. The throat is the region where the mouth cavity and the nasal passages join. Swallowing pushes the food through the throat, or pharynx, and into the esophagus. An important function of the throat is that it prevents the food from entering into the trachea, more commonly known as the windpipe. When the food enters our throat, the larynx, or our voice box, closes. This results in epiglottis covering the entrance of the trachea, or windpipe. The epiglottis is a flap of tissue. Esophagus. Now that the food has reached the esophagus, a wave of smooth muscle contractions occurs, pushing the food into the stomach. These smooth muscle movements are called peristalsis. The importance of sphincter muscles. 3 types of sphincter muscles help in the digestive system. Here, at the junction of the esophagus and the stomach, is a thick ring of circular, smooth muscle that prevents the movement of food pass from esophagus into the stomach. It is called the esophageal sphincter. Another sphincter muscle, the pyloric sphincter, directs the passage of food from the stomach into the intestine. The third sphincter muscle surrounds the anus, stomach. Most of us eat our food in a matter of minutes, but digesting it can take hours. One of the important functions of our stomach is to store food until it is digested. Food can be stored here for 2 to 6 hours. It also kills the microorganisms we consume unconsciously, along with our food, and begins the digestion of the proteins we took in our diet. The stomach secretes gastric juice, hydrochloric acid, water, mucus, pepsin, and renin that continue the process of breaking down the food. Pepsin is secreted as pepsinogen by cells in the gastric glands that are present in the deep folds of the stomach lining. Other cells in the gastric glands produce hydrochloric acid, which has a pH balance between 1 and 3. The low pH helps convert pepsinogen to pepsin and is also the right pH for pepsin's enzymatic action. Hydrochloric acid, or HCl, also helps break the bonds holding the ingested contents together. The breakdown of these food contents exposes more surface area to the action of pepsin and later to the other digestive enzymes in the small intestine. Mucus secreted by the stomach lines the walls of the stomach and protects them from being digested by HCl and pepsin. If this coating is eroded at some place of the stomach, for instance by the attack of bacteria Helicobacter pylori, it can cause an ulcer. Contractions of the smooth muscles in the walls of the stomach roll around its contents, mixing partly digested food with enzymes and acids. This acidic, fluid mixture of gastric juice is called chyme. Peristaltic movements of the stomach walls push chyme towards the end of the stomach. These waves of peristalsis cause the pyloric sphincter to relax briefly so that very little amounts of chyme can enter the small intestine. In this way, our stomach empties itself gradually over a period of almost 4 hours. The small intestine works on a small amount of food at a time.
The small intestine. Pushed by the peristaltic motion from the stomach, the food then enters the small intestine. The small intestine is a long, loosely coiled tube in the abdomen. The small part in the name refers to its diameter, which is around 2.5 centimeters on average, about half of the large intestines. If the coil is stretched, it can reach 6 meters or 20 feet long. Its inside lining is covered with such structures that increase the surface area inside significantly and can cover around a quarter of a badminton court. Also, the small intestine's job in the digestion process is by no means small. Let's say we can slightly unwind and split the small intestine using our markers into 3 parts, based on their specific structures and functions, without our character here feeling uncomfortable. The first, shortest part of the small intestine, which only spans to around 25 centimeters, is the duodenum. Then comes the 2.5 meters long jejunum, and ended with the 3 meters long ileum. When the duodenum receives the processed chyme from the stomach, bicarbonate ions quickly spring into action to first neutralize the stomach acid. Then the enzymes, amylase from the pancreas, lactase, maltase and sucrase produced by the walls of the duodenum, along with the bile from the liver, digest the food further. The amylase digests the remaining complex carbohydrate into the disaccharides, which are converted further by their disaccharidase namesakes into its constituents. The bile breaks down fat or lipid globules into an emulsion to create more contact area, so the lipase enzyme from the pancreas can work on it more efficiently and break it further into glycerides and fatty acids. The pancreas also produces proteolytic enzymes that convert peptides to amino acids. The next digestive process is the absorption of nutrition, which starts at the end of the duodenum. This small part of the duodenum walls absorbs the trace elements, then it falls to the jejunum to absorb most of the nutrients that have been broken down completely, such as amino acids and monosaccharides. The next part of the small intestine, the ileum, absorbs whatever nutrients remain from the jejunum, mostly B12 vitamins, and recycles the bile salt. Water-soluble vitamins, such as the B's and C, have their own transporter. Meanwhile, lipid-soluble vitamins, along with the lipid and the water itself, enter our body by diffusion throughout the walls of the small intestine. Pancreas. Aside from secreting digestive enzymes into the small intestine to help with the breaking down of protein, fat and sugar, the pancreas is also responsible for producing hormones that control the level of sugar in our blood. Watch our diabetes mellitus video for more explanation. Liver. The largest internal organ participates actively in the digestive system by producing fat-processing bile, which is stored in the gallbladder for concentrated use. The liver also acts as a filter for the blood that flows from the digestive system, separating the toxins and dangerous substances from the absorbed nutrients. We've covered a deeper version of the liver topic in our channel if you want to know more. After about 3 to 6 hours in the small intestine, what is left of the food you ate is handed over